All right, the notification went out. Hey,
Brilliant.
everybody, it's Josh
And Jenna.
with Resort TV1, and today we are joined by Jack from DSNY Newscast.
Hello, everybody. Hi there, Waltoneers. I've got to do that, haven't I?
Absolutely. So we
Yes,
had a little bit of a rough start, guys, because like literally 1 minute before the stream, 1 minute to 6, my internet completely crashed out. So I actually had to switch routers, and yeah, so apologize for the late start. We were ready to go. We were talking to Jack. Everything was great. Was ready to push go live, and it just died. Every live streamer's worst nightmare.
Seriously.
Everybody saying hi to Jack.
hello. I've got an iPad here, so hopefully I'll be able to see your comments at the same time as well. So if I'm not looking into camera, I'm looking down here, trying to read people's comments at the same time. I'm new to the streaming game, so be nice to me. I'm not the best at this whole streaming thing, so hopefully it should all go well.
Oh, absolutely. I
For
think it's going to be
sure.
great. And it looks like everybody did get notified. So hi, everybody. R. Johns and Bill's Odds and Ends, Dan, Great Marco, Mouse Junkie. We got a great group of moderators here tonight, and a lot of great people joining us. So let us know, by the way, too, in the chat before we get started. We'll let everybody get on since we had a late start. Let us know if you came over from DSNY Newscast to watch the stream.
Yeah.
And if not, also, if you're a Resort TV1, you're a resort hopper, whether you're a Walt Disney World resort hopper or both, make sure you go subscribe to DSNY Newscast and click the bell. And if you're not subscribed to Resort TV1, do the same thing because we both put out great content. And like we've said before, one channel really complements the other. You can get all your great news on DSNY Newscast, and you can go see the parks live with us, and we can, be kind of on the ground and giving you tours. So you get the best of both worlds. Go subscribe to both.
Well, I'd just like to say that I stumbled across your channel around a year and a half ago, and it's just I mean, I don't always tune into every single stream because obviously the time difference is a bit difficult in the UK. But I do love jumping in every once in a while, and just getting a tiny bit of that Disney magic from the UK. So thanks from all of us Disney fans to you, Josh and Jenna, for giving us a little bit of that taste of that live Disney magic on a regular basis. So thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
We love it. Yeah.
So somebody said my voice is low. Can you guys hear us okay? Just want
I
to make sure
think
you can
everyone
hear.
says they're fine. Yeah.
Everybody's okay. Good. All right. Well, Jack, we appreciate that. And we didn't know you found us so long ago. That's pretty awesome.
That
So
is.
I think we found you back over the summer maybe. And I was telling Jack when we were just doing the prep for the stream, what really drew me in was just the professionalism of his content. I mean, even you can see the thumbnail in the background here. He made that, and just his editing and everything is so professional, and it just drew me in because you can have somebody sit in front of a camera and read the news, but he puts all the concept art. He does indicators for where things are going to be, video clips edited, everything with B-roll footage, and it's just really professional. So again, if you haven't checked it out, make sure you go do that.
For sure.
Thanks for saying that, Josh. And yeah, it takes a long time to produce one video. It takes probably around, I'd say, a good 7 hours, 7 to 8 hours, depending on the subject matter, depending on how many graphics I've got to create for the video and stuff like that. And obviously, news. There's been times in the past when I've had a video ready to go. I know what I want to cover, and then Disney released some big news at the last minute. I have to throw everything out the window and begin again. So yeah. Recently, it was like Toy Story Land opening, not opening, the opening date released. That was early hours of the morning, my time. It was like 6 a.m. in the morning. I found that
Oh
out, so
wow.
I had to get straight on it. So yeah, yeah, different things like that. It makes it difficult.
Oh, yeah.
Very,
For
yeah. Well,
sure.
that I mean, the time difference and everything else, it really is tough. So they're saying they can barely hear us. It's muffled. Okay, I've got it turned up all the way, and I tried to adjust Jack so that it's a little bit better. Jenna's the loudest of all. I wonder if it's coming through our headphones. Let me hold on. Let me try this real quick. All right, guys. Now
Oh,
now can you hear us? Can everybody hear us? Is this better or worse? Let us know. We can figure it out. This is Jack's audio went down. Yeah, I turned it down just a little bit to make it equal. So is that better? Okay. Now you may hear just a little bit of an echo with Jack, but I think that's just how we're gonna have to do that for now. So
we're good.
Oh, is that because I'm not using headphones?
No, you're going to hear it because we have you on our speakers now, so we can hear you, and it says much better. Okay, good.
So we don't need these?
I think what happened was we were coming through. We were using iPhone. We were using the iPhone microphone on the headphones. So I think that was not. We were trying not to get an echo, but I think this is better. Everybody says much better. Yes, we
All
can
right,
hear you.
cool.
Okay. Big echo. Okay, I'm not really sure how Jack is echoing. I'm not really sure how to fix that. Jack's gonna echo. So.
Sorry.
No, I think that's just there's a really big echo with Jack. Yeah, because he's on the headphones. Lots of echo on Jack.
I could maybe switch on over and try using AirPods, if you'd like.
Well, I think it's on our end now because what's happening is now our speakers are feeding back through the system. So I'm trying to think.
This usually works when you and I Skype.
Yeah, that's what's weird. Okay, so when I plug in the headphones, does it get lower? We'll get started here in just a second. We apologize for the technical issues here. Is this better now? Okay, headphones back in and turn down Jack. Yeah, I turned down Jack, and ours is all the way up. It shows that our microphone is going. Put your earphones back on. You fixed it by just putting Jack down. Okay, all right. So we'll figure it out.
Kidding. Sorry, guys.
I'm hoping. Okay, that's okay. I think that's the microphone. It's not.
Are we good?
It's not coming through here. We're good. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So it was just an issue. Okay. All right. Let's move on.
Here we go.
All right, guys. So I want to again. We already kind of introduced Jack, but for those of you just joining us, this is Jack again from DSNY Newscast, and he started this channel almost exactly a year ago. He just had his first anniversary. What, last week?
Yeah, it was around a week and a half ago, roughly around then. Yeah, it's flown by, to be honest. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
especially getting 76,000 subscribers in 1 year. That is an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought when I started out the channel that it would grow so fast. I remember the first 1,000 and how long it took to get to that point, and then from there it just skyrocketed, and D23 Expo and everything that really helped it out. But just thank you to everybody who subscribed in that first year, and here's to a second, and hopefully it will be just as good.
Absolutely. Well, and so on that same note, why did you start DSNY Newscast?
So the reason why I started DSNY Newscast is, I followed Disney news for years and years and years. I've been a Disney fan ever since I was, a little toddler. And so when I, used to read the news, I used to think there should be a better way to digest all this news. And it's very difficult to keep tabs on, know what's true, what's false. So many different sources. The Disney company is so massive. It's not just Disney movies and Disney parks. It's Star Wars, Marvel. A lot of people, follow a little bit of each, but they don't have great knowledge of everything. And, we all live busy lives. So it's very difficult to stay on top of. So I just decided, I created an app called DSNY Digest. And then from there, I decided to create DSNY Newscast to see whether people would want news on a more regular basis, with me delivering it verbally and with graphics to better explain the topics. Because, there's an awful lot of great articles out there. A lot of great reputable news. The topic is maybe what I do a little bit more with graphics. You can read an article that can give you the first scoop in a way. They'll beat me to it in a way because, it's just the nature of it. And then what I hopefully do is manage to explain it all in a more cohesive manner. So you've got one for the scoop and me. I'll come in later and hopefully clear some stuff up. But that's hopefully what DSNY Newscast does.
Well, and I think that's the great thing about it. Yes, you can go read Disney news on a lot of different places, but we were talking about this. Jack and I did a chat last week, and one of the things he talked about was keeping his videos to 7 to 8 minutes, or even sometimes a little shorter, because it really is like a news brief, and he covers several things very quickly. So if you don't have a lot of time, to watch a really, really long newscast, I think it's really cool. You can learn several things in about 7 minutes, and I think it holds people's attention spans really well as well. So I think that's a really good length.
Yes, I totally agree.
Hopefully so. Yeah.
And I had a few comments there, guys. By the way, the internet is you know, I know Jack broke up just a little bit when he was talking, but it got better. You know, we're kind of testing the bounds of live streaming here. He's in the UK, we're in Florida, and you know, my internet just went down, his internet went down. So, but it looks like it's all working great. I think it's pretty cool we can do this though.
Just before we get into the topics, would
Yes.
you like me to just jump over to my tethered to the iPhone instead and do it via that? Because my internet might improve.
Actually, no, it just got better. I think it's just literally just how far away we are, so that your
Okay.
video is really clear now. It just broke up for a second. I think that's just bound to happen with all the different connections it has to go through to get here.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Cool.
so I think we're good. All right, guys. Well, it looks like, by the way, thanks you so much for watching. We've got over 350 now in the chat, which is really cool. But Paul says, sound is very poor here in Wales. I hear a lot of people saying that, or I see a lot of people saying volume is great now, no echo, everything's good. So the majority of people are saying it's great. I do apologize if it is a little off, but we're doing the best we can. And it.
I've just read a comment here saying the two best channels broke the internet.
Oh, that's
Bill's
what happened,
odds
Bill.
and ends.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what happened, Bill. So everybody's
Yeah.
saying it's pretty good. So, you know, like I said, I apologize. But yeah, Nancy says DSNY Newscasts are highly informative and pleasantly entertaining. Love the lightness and humor.
Yes, I do too.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh yeah. I mean, hopefully you guys find me funny. I mean, you know, I'm not always, but
Now,
anyhow.
somebody wants to know how, real quick, just based on your channel, how did Jack come up with his send-off? And a lot of people were commenting on your send-off, how they really like that.
Basically, before I even put out a first video, I knew from watching so much YouTube that I needed a way to end the videos. I can't just go bye and you know say a quick bye like that.
Yeah,
So
right.
I thought, you know, it will either work or it won't, and I'll do it, and it won't have many people watching to begin with, and if it catches on, it catches on. But basically, I discussed it with my brothers about it. I was like, I'm gonna do an I've been Jack or you've been you, and I'll see you real soon. And the see you real soon is obviously the Disney Mickey, you know, see you real soon.
Right.
So that's where it came from, and it just turned into something. And now, whenever I end a video, it doesn't feel right if I don't say it. So yeah.
Yeah, we really like the send-off and the fact that you're adding your Waltoneers to do that, so they're sending in videos
Yeah.
and you're choosing one per video to do the send-off. That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
And guys, send them in by Twitter, Instagram, because you know they will get to a point where I'll start doing it again, just every once in a while. But yeah, just send in your sign-offs and stuff like that, and then I'll be able to use them at the end of the video. I'll pass it on over to you. I just think it's a nice way to interact with you guys and give you guys a spotlight a little bit, because YouTube's a very, unlike live streaming, which you and Josh and Jenna know very well, my types of videos don't allow for much two-way interaction. And it's a bit of a shame in a way, because we have such a dedicated, you know, active community, and I'd just like to bring them in a bit more on the channel. So,
yeah, agreed. I think that's a great way to do it.
Yeah, very great.
Our Theme Life, one of our partner channels, says, of course, we love ResortTV1 too. Well, like I said, it's really cool. You know, I was really excited when Jack and I started talking about collabing, because, you know, like I said, they're two very complementary channels, because we don't, you know, really have time or energy or even, you know, really means to cover Disney news, and he does it so perfectly, it's so well. And like he was talking about spending several hours on the videos and things like that, but you know, he's in the UK, so he's not able to live stream and not able to visit the parks, you know, like we are. So like I said, it really works well that we can work together on these kind of things. So yeah. And then I think I saw somebody said, oh, Bryson, please read this, Jack. I mean, you got some big fans on there. Yeah.
We actually ran into one at Animal Kingdom's
Oh.
20th today. He
Yeah.
had a Walt Disney shirt on.
That was
awesome.
He was from Florida though.
Yes.
So yeah, we told him we were going to be live streaming tonight. But oh, and we, by the way, before we get into it too much, we met Joe Rohde today.
Oh, really?
Imagineer
Yeah.
extraordinaire. That was amazing.
Yeah. It was cool.
Brilliant. I mean, Joe, did you tug on his ear? Did you know?
No, but we did see it for sure.
No, he touched
Oh,
his
you
shoulder.
saw him yeah, okay.
Well, we did the Animal Kingdom 20th anniversary you know, celebration today, and we were over there vlogging and everything. And so right as we came out of the celebration, we thought, oh, he's going to be behind security, he won't come out around the masses. And all of a sudden we saw this whole crowd, and one of our friends, Paging Mr. Morrow, another channel, came up and said, Josh, Jenna, come here. And like literally he's right in front of me, and all I could think to say was hi.
Well, you know, at least it's the start of a conversation. I mean,
Right.
you've got hello in there, but
So, but it was great.
Words weren't working.
Yes.
good.
So anyway, let's get right into it, guys, as Jack would say on his
Okay,
videos.
right.
So we're gonna kind of go over some topics, and everybody's talking about the graphics on your videos. Yeah, they are awesome. He does those himself.
Thanks. Yeah. Hopefully the videos will get better and better in the next year. I hope you guys realise with the new camera angles, I've got new plugins, so hopefully I'll be able to go into the artwork a bit more and go around and bring in a bit more 3D kind of effect to the artwork. But
Yeah.
it's all a work in progress. I mean, in my most recent video, the software which I used for that, it didn't render out a bit of a clip, and so you just saw me reading my script, which wasn't the most thrilling thing to watch in my most recent video. But yeah, it was a mistake. So
Well,
yeah.
that's okay. I mean, we all have those. I've had a few videos even that did really, really well, and then I noticed a mistake, and I thought, well, I can't take it down now. It's already done well. So,
No,
yeah.
I know. I tried cutting things like that out every once in a while, but it depends if the mistake's really glaring or not. But yeah.
Right. No, that
Yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah.
That
Right.
wasn't too bad. So yeah. So what we're gonna do, guys, is I've got some kind of B-roll footage. I'm gonna ask Jack some questions about Star Wars, and if he has his own comments to throw in, he can do that. But you're gonna be watching some B-roll, and I'll go back to our webcams as we go along. So we won't be reading the chat completely. We'll try and read it a little bit later. But if you have some comments, if we see some, we can read them. But don't, normally we read every single comment. This time we will definitely
We try.
we'll try, but like I said, we're going to be mostly hearing from Jack and discussing these different things. So, the first topic is Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And we've got some great footage from that, and it's not got any sound, so we should be able to hear everybody's audio. But we're going to put that on now. And there's some construction video driving into Hollywood Studios. Jenna got the other day, and so you can see the construction here in just a bit. And as we're watching this, Jack, what are you most excited about in Galaxy's Edge, and why?
Well, the first thing which I'd like to say about Galaxy's Edge is for Disney, I believe it's going to be a whole different experience of a Disney park. They're trying something much more ambitious than they would do with, let's say, Pandora or Toy Story Land. This is going to be as immersive a Disney experience as they've ever created. They're pushing the boundaries with their galactic credit system. We're learning more and more details about that later on. And the two rides, the more I learn about the two rides, these are going to be, the very best rides that Disney have ever made. I mean, Flights of Passage is fantastic, but the Millennium Falcon attraction and the Battle Escape at the moment, what's being called, I think we're looking at. Let me just double check. I wasn't looking at the screen for a second. I believe that's the Battle Escape building. Yeah. So what we're looking at here, towards the end of the Battle Escape building, will be the queue section, the line section. So you'll have quite a lengthy pre-show with Battle Escape. And if you think that Flights of Passage was really great in terms of its pre-show, the Escape attraction is going to blow it out of the water. It really is.
That's awesome. Well, and this video will recycle here in just a second. We can comment through
Cool.
it. Actually, let me restart it because
sorry, there's a bit of a delay because from what I'm saying and what I'm seeing, there's like probably a
little bit
5-second delay from what I'm actually seeing on the screen slightly. So
let me I'm going to restart it, and maybe you can comment real quick on the entry footage is really cool. Just kind of seeing some of the things. So I'll let you comment on what you see as you see it, even if it's a little off, guys.
So as we're driving on in, you see the Millennium Falcon building first. It's not quite there yet. And then with that Falcon building, the other day, as blogmickey.com saw, the projection domes or the concaved, projection screens for each cockpit have arrived. So they're starting to put those into the buildings now. But we're still yet to know about that. But essentially, the Falcon, they're starting to actually build the actual ride system now. It's very hard to know what they're doing with the Battle Escape because it's been covered up and enclosed for such a long time. But we can still see the exposed part, which is the pre-show queue. And it's going to be pretty adventurous in the way that they're going to get you from one level to the second level for the actual ride itself. A bit like Haunted Mansion in the innovative way that they have the stretching room. You're going to see something a little bit similar to that in terms of breaking up the two queues for the Battle Escape attraction.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, the sound glitched for just a second, guys, on Jack, but it came right back. It's just like I said, we've got a lot of things going through the internet, so I think it's back now, so we're good. And so the next question I have for Jack about the Galaxy's Edge. And I think, by the way, I want to touch on what he said about it being the most ambitious and the most, technologically advanced rides that Disney have ever created. I really think that's going to be something, because Pandora really blew everybody away. But I think, I've always thought this, that Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, because Star Wars is such a universal, worldwide phenomenon, it's got to be epic. Star Tours is okay, it's fine, but I think Star Wars, Galaxy's Edge has got to blow everybody away, and I think that it will. So, and on that same topic, do you think the Millennium Falcon ride will be just another Star Tours simulator?
No. I see an awful lot of people online, on Twitter and things like that, say, great, this is just going to be Star Tours 2.0 or 3.0, I suppose. But it really isn't. Disney aren't going to create just another iteration of Star Tours with this Millennium Falcon. The way I would look at the Millennium Falcon, the three attractions I would say this ride is going to end up being. You take basically the immersive kind of capsule, all in it together teamwork of Mission Space, and the way that you interact with the ride system a little bit. I would say then you'd also bring in the simulator movements of Star Tours, and then the gamified nature of a Midway Mania, and that's what you're going to get with the Falcon attraction. So if you move if you're the captain of the cockpit and you fly down, you're moving the actual cockpit pod, the actual ride system itself. You're in complete control of it. So just from that standpoint, that is going to be a real novel feeling inside there. But each place you go, it will be completely of your own making. So it's not going to be like Mission Space where, press this button now and then, do this over here, and you always get the same thing. This is going to be a completely in your hands. You will have complete control over what happens in this ride.
That's amazing. I mean, I think this will be the first time when you actually could control, like on Mission Space, I think, no matter what you do, we read Mission Space, and you don't push the buttons and everything still happens. There's no consequences for you don't just blow up your space shuttle or anything.
Yeah, you don't end up lost in space or something. Yeah.
No, so I mean, and sometimes they'll let you ride the ride. And the first time I rode it, I was like, oh no, there's no navigator, and the cast member's like, it's fine, no big deal.
You're not going to die out in space. I mean, it's only a simulator. But with the Millennium Falcon, I really do feel that people are going to be pretty wowed. They're going to be pretty amazed at the level of technology that's going into this attraction. It's not just one ride mission that you're going to experience. Well, they've got so many ride missions lined up, and it's not going to be like repeated segments like Star Tours. You know how Star Tours, you always have the same kind of repeated elements thrown in there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
This Millennium Falcon attraction is going to be unique in a lot of ways. So yeah.
But I like that it's a small group, very similar to Mission Space. It's not like just a 50-person or 40-person vehicle like Star Tours. So it'll be a lot more personalized, family-oriented as well. So yeah.
That's awesome.
And so I guess on that same topic, what do you think people will be most surprised about in Galaxy's Edge?
The thing I think people will be most surprised about, if Disney managed to pull it off in the way they were hoping, they're hoping to, is the way that the land will feel alive, and it will have its own sense of interactivity even outside of the rides. Disney keeps saying, if you crash the Millennium Falcon and you go on over to the cantina, there may be a guy who comes over, a bounty hunter kind of figure, and say, hey, you crashed the Millennium Falcon, why did you do that? And it's that kind of interactivity and keeping the story going. Disney keeps saying, live your Star Wars adventure. Right. They are really wanting to get this land to be alive in a different way to any other theme park or land they've ever built before. So from that standpoint, I think people are going to be truly amazed. I mean, the droids that they're going to have roaming around the land and stuff like that you'll be able to meet, that's going to bring a whole different level of a live feeling to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and somebody, actually, this is a good question. Ross just asked, how intense do they expect the ride to be?
Well, there's a reason why they've got two rides. The dark ride, trackless ride system of Battle Escape, that will be pretty much for everybody. I've described it before on the show as kind of like a Pirates of the Caribbean for Star Wars. You know, because everybody can ride Pirates of the Caribbean, everyone can have that great experience. But with Millennium Falcon, I don't expect it to be, you know, mission space kind of, you know, intense levels. I believe everybody's going to be able to experience that attraction. If you have a really sensitive stomach with motion issues like on Star Tours, then maybe the ride might be a bit too much for you. But it depends on who's flying. If you've got somebody who doesn't know how to fly the cockpit, you know, the Millennium Falcon, you're probably going to be in for a bumpy ride. But
Right. Yeah.
So you can scream at them. It's like backseat driving. You can scream at them and say, you know,
Hey,
slow down. You
watch
know.
it.
Stop.
That's awesome.
I love that.
Well, and let's see, somebody else had a thing here, and then maybe we can move on to the next thing. Yeah, the interaction I think is going to be great. And and somebody else, Nancy said she's interested in the character interactions, not just meet and greets. I think that's the coolest thing. If a bounty hunter comes up and says, "Hey, you crashed the ship, you're going to have to pay for that." Like that is so much cooler than just like stand in line, shake hands, you know, take the picture. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
I mean, you know, because Disney have meet and greets, you know, bring in a huge amount of people, you know, eats up. Disney are all about crowd level and trying to reduce the crowd level in certain areas. Meet and greets are great for that sort of stuff, but the unknown characters, the characters you don't really know, a little bit like remember the Hollywood, you know, actresses and stuff like that. That would the stars of Hollywood in Disney's Hollywood studios and things like that. That kind of level of interaction, just hanging around Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, because there's going to be an awful lot of waiting around, and I'm guessing that the land's going to be very packed. So Disney will want to entertain people and keep them preoccupied pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, and a couple people are saying 3 hour waits, 3 to 4 hour waits. Yeah, I don't know what the guest throughput is going to be on the attractions. I hope that they have planned for that. It sounds like they have quite a few pods that are going to be available on Millennium Falcon, and it also sounds like the Battle Escape hopefully will be similar to an Omnimover, that it'll keep, that you can keep loading people. So hopefully it's okay.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I'm trying to read some of these comments at the same time. I'm new to the whole streaming thing, so it's all encompassing. It's
Absolutely.
a lot to take in.
I'll read a few while you go ahead.
Here's a question for you guys, Josh and Jenna. ResortTV1, what do you think about the transportation from the hotel, the Star Wars hotel, which is being built just off to the side, to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge? What's your opinion on how they'll do that?
That's a good question.
I don't know. It looked like on one of your recent videos you showed kind of the location of the hotel and not being quite as close, because we kind of thought in the past that it would butt right up against, and so it would just be maybe a passage and you'd be right in. So as far as the transportation to and from the Star Wars hotel, I think probably they'll have some really, really good way to do it. I hope it won't be some kind of like you have to get on a bus or something. That would really cheapen the experience. So I'm hoping they've got another way to do that. I don't think it'll be like a Skyliner type thing. I honestly think they're going to have, if it's not that far, I think they'll have some kind of a nice themed maybe walkway. I think that's probably the most likely thing, and have it kind of enclosed with berms or with trees or whatever on both sides. So you don't really see. It could be underground as well, with interactive elements in the underground area. So I don't know. What do you think, Jack, about that?
Well, I would like to say that it's going to be some sort of tunnel or bridge or something like that, but reality is that the hotel itself, when you go to the hotel check-in, it's going to have a normal Disney check-in to begin with, because they've got to do that kind of thing, and then you'll get into possibly an elevator, and it will take you check-in, and different details will come out about what they're doing with that elevator technology and stuff like that to theme the experience and make you feel like you're going up to a Starship hotel, basically, which is what this hotel is going to be. So essentially, they're just going to bring you down. I reckon they're just going to bring you down to normal level and then just say you got early access to the park. I would love for it to be themed somehow, but it depends how much they want to keep that Star Wars idea alive, and how much Galaxy's Edge will actually play into the weekend. I'm guessing it's going to be a weekend experience for Star Wars Hotel, because they won't be able to. It will be very much like a Disney cruise. It won't be able to just be in continual operation. There'll be an awful lot of cast members who will need to be active within the hotel to keep that experience alive and going with the story. So I'd expect it to be pre-planned weekends and exclusive access in the early hours for mornings and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
that
think
makes
so
sense.
too. Yeah, I mean, like if the bottom floor of the hotel is normal, and then you go up into the experience, they might do it that way. I kind of hope they keep it themed because I think it would be cooler, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And then a couple people, let's see. Sorry if we're missing several comments. I saw one of our partner channels, Viapre Project, is on here, and like I said, Our Theme Life, and a lot of people joining us tonight. We appreciate that. And I know Jack cut off just a little bit in that last one, but it wasn't bad. I think it was just a couple seconds. So we just have to kind of bear with that. So apologize for that, guys. It's just the internet back and forth. Maybe we should take one or two more and then move on to Toy Story's Land. It says, which ride do you think will be more popular than the other in Galaxy's Edge? That's a great question. I don't know. What do you think?
Do you know?
I mean,
what do you think?
I think the Millennium Falcon is going to be more popular just because it has the name and it's got the ship out in front of it. So I think that's going to be just because people recognize the name Millennium Falcon and they also recognize the ship, which is going to be there and be a huge.
Yeah.
I'm sure you won't be able to get an unblocked photo there ever. So,
a permanent Disney photo pass guy will be stood in front of the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I would tend to agree with you guys. I reckon the Millennium Falcon ride will be the more popular of the two, just because over time, the Millennium Falcon, much like how Midway Mania, or Toy Story Mania as it's called now, is so popular because of the gamified nature of it. Every time you go on it, you got a chance to get a better score. We all know, those kind of rides have a different kind of repeatability factor, and I think the Millennium Falcon will really build upon. Whereas the Battle Escape will be very popular because it'll be it's going to be more themed in a way, because it's not just going to be a simulator. It's a classic Disney dark ride, and a lot of people will love the classic Disney dark ride. I personally am very attached to the classic Disney dark ride, like Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion. For
sure.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something like Flights of Passage. I'm more impressed with something like Nave River Journey instead, because it's a boat ride. It's classic Disney in my opinion.
Totally.
But just from the standpoint of theming and the whole screen thing, screen idea, I don't think you'll be able to notice an awful lot of the screens within the dark ride of the Battle Escape, because they're going to be massive. They're going to be absolutely huge. We've seen the concept art, but these things are going to be like Pirates of the Caribbean and Shanghai Disneyland, that kind of size. Projection screens and stuff like that. So it'd be very hard to discern what's projection screen and what's not. A bit like how Nave River Journey play with the projection screens as well.
Yes. So I just wrote that today, and it really does. They are very seamless for sure. Mm-hmm. Oh, and Disney Princess Couture Rachel, one of our really awesome moderators and followers, says, "Jenna, you're so cute." That's awesome. So. I really think this is both of them are going to be great, but I love how you discuss the strengths of each one that way. And I'm a huge dark ride fan, and I've actually kind of was sad when they closed the Seven Dwarfs dark ride, because even though they were doing the Mine Train, the dark ride was so different, and I just love the classic blacklighted dark rides.
I feel like Disney World has gotten rid of so many, and Disneyland has so many.
They still have
them. I'm glad they do.
Yeah.
I miss ours.
Well, it's the Universal influence, isn't it? It's typically cheaper to do a screen ride, where it's easier to do that kind of thing. I mean, Fast and Furious has just opened, or opened in Universal, and it's getting mixed reviews because it so heavily relies upon the screen technology. Whereas I think what Disney are doing, like with Nave River Journey and with this Battle Escape, is they're mixing an awful lot of physical animatronic props and things like that and sets into a projection screen environment, which will really bring it to life.
And I hope they do better with that than Universal seems to be all about screens now, and I think that it's a little bit it's cheapened the experience. I was so excited for the King Kong ride, and I think to me it was a much ado about nothing. So anyway, I don't want to get off the topic too much, but I feel like Disney, though, on this, and from what I've watched on your videos and what I've seen around the internet, I feel like these rides are going to be really good melding of those two technologies.
I agree.
So, yeah. So we have just reading some chat, and then we'll move on. Jenna needs the pink hair like Rachel.
Pink hair, all right.
Everybody loves it. This is wonderful. The format's great. Everybody's loving it. This is awesome, guys. Thank you so much for your kind comments, and we appreciate it very much. So. Want to remind everybody, by the way, I know we've got close to 400 people watching, it looks like, and want to remind everybody that, again, Jack, you can see we have our channel names right underneath of us. So obviously we're ResortTV1, which is hosting the stream. We go live every Friday at 6 in a park, and we have new videos every day at 9. So make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. And if YouTube is working right, you'll get a notification. If not, just go check and see, because you know we're always going to be live and have videos at the same time. And Jack, on our left here, or on the left of the video, does these awesome newscasts, and this is a longer format, which is cool. We get to dive into these topics a little bit more. But make sure, if you're a resort hopper or you're just finding us randomly, make sure you go check out DSNY Newscast and go subscribe, and again hit the notification bell, because he puts out new videos every Tuesday and Thursday, approximately 8 p.m. Eastern time. Isn't that when they go live, Jack?
For me, it's like 1 a.m. in the morning. So yeah, it's roughly it's roughly around 8 p.m. Eastern. I try and do it like that, so therefore it's 5 p.m. On the West Coast. So therefore people are hopefully out of work, and they don't, miss out on the video as well.
For sure.
So I post around a time. I mean, sometimes I post earlier just because it's more breaking news, so I just try and get it out there a little bit sooner. But it's often around 8 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, great. And we see some people are subscribing. Good. Yeah, please go subscribe to DSNY. You will not be disappointed. Again, the content is very professional, and this is, like I said, you'll get the most up-to-date information all the time. And like he said, if something breaks, he does post a video. He doesn't, wait till Tuesday. If it's something happening over the weekend or whatever, he usually comes right out with it pretty quickly. So
depends the level of the breaking news. I mean, I sometimes get people like, this is breaking news, and it's to do a breaking news video, I've got to give up a massive amount of time to do it.
Right.
And so sometimes, it depends. I've got to judge the level, like opening dates and stuff like that. That's breaking news. New shows, that can maybe wait sometimes for me to just get. Sometimes it's just the level of, I need a bit more context on it.
Right.
You need to let the story settle a little bit, and if you jump at something too early, you're only getting half the story. So sometimes it's better to just wait a little bit and see where the dust settles in a way.
Absolutely, I agree. And several people are subscribing back and forth, which is great. That's, we're just trying to, I think the cool thing about a collaboration is you can see, again, the Waltneers are seeing, kind of what Jen and I do, and the Resort Hoppers are seeing what Jack does. And I think this is great. Somebody said, Adam, who's also over in the UK and is very late over there for him, says, please make this a regular thing. I don't know if we can do it regularly, but Jack is welcome to come on anytime he wants.
I can come on every once in a while, and we can do a bit of a date on different things. I'm quite willing to do that. Yeah,
absolutely. Awesome. I think this has been great. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic, Toy Story Land. And Toy Story Land is, of course, what is going to be opening the most, the closest. The words were not working there. So so the closest to now. So, and we're really excited about that. Going to be opening in June. So we're hoping to be there and live stream the opening day as long as the connection holds out. There'll be a lot of people there. So
sure.
So I've got some Toy Story Land footage. It's not as much as Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, but we will play that. And tell you what, why don't we play that? And Jack, you can just kind of comment on the footage, and then we'll do some questions.
Sure. All right.
So this is just a little bit over the wall here. Jenna did.
You can see the coaster too. Watch.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's a little bit behind, so they're not seeing it on the stream quite yet.
Right. Okay. I'm seeing it now. Right. Okay. Essentially, we're zooming in on Slinky Dog Dash coaster. That part to the right there, that kiosk. We're still yet to really know what that kiosk is going to be. I believe it's going to be some sort of fast pass kiosk, maybe for Toy Story Land at the entrance. Make a lot of now with berm for, I believe that's Star Wars Galaxy's Edge beyond that berm there. It's hard to tell, just wait. Yeah, it definitely is. And we're down by the exit of where, they're moving the exit of Toy Story Mania.
Let me interrupt real quick because my son just came in, and so we're gonna he just walked in here. So this is my wife Steph, and this is Liam. So everybody say hi to Steph and Liam. He wanted to see what we were doing. So hey, buddy.
Hello.
So anyway, sorry, he's interested in Toy Story Land too.
Yes, he will be. Say it's night time, so we were trying to say night.
Oh, for sure.
Night, Leo.
Good night, buddy.
Yes.
Good night.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye,
Kisses?
bud.
He's been upset that we've been up here and he couldn't come up.
Are you trying to give kisses?
Yep.
Can you blow kisses?
Say bye.
Bye-bye?
Bye. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Alright, you're keeping the dog.
Okay. We interrupt. Oh, I'm sorry, but bye, buddy. We interrupt this stream to bring you cuteness. All right, guys. Let me. And I think that was the end of the footage there. So, yeah. Oh no,
Right.
Jenna's not my wife. No, she's
no,
my
we're
sister.
brother and sister.
Yeah. All right. So, I will dive into the Toy Story Land questions there. So it looks like everybody. Yeah, he's grown so much. Yep. So,
Sure.
Toy Story Land questions. Do you think there will be pass holder previews or soft openings for Toy Story Land?
Right. So essentially, the opening, like the soft opening for Toy Story Land, it depends how quickly they move on it. To be honest, the current aerial shots of Toy Story Land looks like they're pushing it pretty close.
Yeah.
So I mean, Pandora: The World of Avatar was pretty much complete, around beginning of April last. And so therefore they just decided to do the soft openings for over a longer period of time. Toy Story Land, it also depends upon the type of land it is. Pandora, it was a different type of land. So, it was a different type of environment. They wanted to test an awful lot of the different bioluminescent elements and different innovative things that they were doing there. So that could have been the reason why they did a longer soft opening period. But Toy Story Land, I don't expect it to have a very long soft opening period. Cast member preview, annual pass holder previews, things like that. It's going to be pretty much like a week before, I'd expect. That's what the rumours are indicating at the moment, but it's not going to be that far out.
Okay.
That they're going to start doing previews. But
Well, and that's probably
so
why, 'cause-
sorry guys, it doesn't just look like they're going to be doing it ages before.
And that's probably why we haven't seen, I know even at this point last year, I think they had already kind of announced the pass holder preview lottery, and they had already, kind of done a lot of that. So we were kind of checking the parks blog every day, trying to see if we can get in there for the preview. But yeah, I think you're right. I think they're pushing it pretty close. And actually, Star Wars Land is also, Galaxy's Edge is also, you've shown on your most recent videos, it's pretty far behind California. I think due to the hurricane probably mostly, wasn't it? Or
Yeah, that probably delayed it. But a bit, because obviously it wasn't just for the downtime it had there, but it didn't have an awful lot of damage to, Disney are pretty good at strapping down things and making sure things aren't going to be massively damaged in hurricane weather when they're doing construction. But they started a little bit behind Disneyland as well.
Right.
Bob Iger has said that a Galaxy's Edge will be open before the next D23 Expo. Now, we do know that D23 Expo is going to be in August next year, and it's a week later than it was in 2015. And obviously 2017 it was July. So they may have pushed that back a little bit for that reason. But essentially, Disney don't often do an awful lot of stuff at San Diego Comic-Con as well nowadays. They hold off for a lot of their big announcements for D23 when it's in that year. So an awful lot of things come into play, but I'd expect Disneyland to be open July time, maybe early, maybe June of 2019 for Galaxy's Edge. That depends. I personally feel that it would be a missed opportunity not to open both lands on the same day, have a coast-to-coast opening.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a great press event, but it depends how far behind it is and whether they can catch up or not.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's true, and I think it's going to be hard to, it's hard. I don't think they want to rush it, of course, and it's such a big deal, so I think they're kind of the mind that, if it's a little late, well, as long as it's ready, as long as it's great, they don't want to rush anything on that, so
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, Stephanie's asking if she's going to be there June 16th through 23rd. The official opening for Toy Story Land is supposed to be the 30th, so there is a chance, I think, that there might be a soft opening then. That would be getting close to the window, but there's no guarantees, of course, so.
And even then with the soft openings, it's limited. It's
Right.
very limited. They don't allow everyone in, and got to get there at the right time to get in, that kind of stuff. So it's not just best on June 30th, when they actually officially open it. And personally, I'm very excited to see Toy Story Land because I've been to Disneyland Paris's version many times, and Disney do Toy Story Land very well. They've done it a couple of different times now, and I don't think that they're expecting to be major issues with the land itself because they know it so well.
Mm-hmm.
And the theming is very good. If you liked Honey, I Shrunk the the play set, you know, the playground area, you're going to love this because it's very immersive. It really is.
Yeah, I think that's going to be really cool. You're supposed to be the size of a toy, very similar to you know, the size of an ant or something on Honey I Shrunk the Audience or playground there. So
yeah, I'm excited to see it too because I've seen the one in Paris as well, and it's fun, you know, to see the comparisons for sure.
I see Avery is here. He's saying hi. Avery comments on almost all of our videos. So
Avery comments on an awful lot of my DSNY Newscast videos. Yeah,
he's a
hi
very,
there. Yeah, hi.
Very loyal follower. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, with Toy Story Playland, what's called in Disneyland Paris, it's a very small land.
It was.
Got the RC Racer, which is the one which they've got at Shanghai Disneyland, just opened, and they've got like a sling dog merry-go-round, kind of like very small. It's a like a baby-friendly, kid-friendly ride. Whereas the Slinky Dog Dash coaster, I reckon it's going to be on the level of intensity of a Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you enjoy that ride, you're going to enjoy Slinky Dog. And it goes around the whole land, so it's going to be a great roller coaster.
Yeah, looks cool.
And it looks neat from the outside, and I think that's a good target. You know, the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is a good level of intensity for everybody to be able to experience it. So.
But can we just address that Woody's Lunchbox isn't the best name for that restaurant, that quick service window?
What is it?
Because, you know, Woody's Lunchbox. I mean, it's not Woody's Lunchbox, it's Andy's Lunchbox. So if you're going to keep it theming alive, you know.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really think I hadn't thought about that. You're right.
Yeah.
Woody is a toy. He doesn't have a lunchbox. Andy has a lunchbox.
It makes sense. I mean, we're going to see Andy's footprints around the land, so why don't people already know about Andy, Toy Story, and all that sort of stuff? So Andy's lunchbox would have just made more sense, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it is what it is. It is what it is.
If they wanted to call it Woody's Roundup or something like that and have it maybe you know, country themed or something like that, would have been fine. Cowboy theming would have worked. But yeah, it's
I remember people wrote on the videos when I asked them what kind of names they came up with. It was like Stinky Pete's Eats and stuff like that. That was quite good. There's other pizza ones and stuff like that. But obviously we know now it's sandwiches. So, but Baby Bell is a bit of an odd sponsor. But then again, we've all had Baby Bell in our lunchboxes when we were younger.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how heavy that is within the land in terms of how many Baby Bell signs you see.
Yeah.
Well, and in that, along that same thing, this is something I put as a question on here, and this is something that's been a lot on my mind because there have been a lot of changes to Toy Story Land as the concept art and as the budget has evolved and things like that. So, do you think there are enough things in Toy Story Land to really keep guests entertained?
To be honest, yeah, I feel that a lot of people, the main ride within Toy Story Land will always be Toy Story Mania. A lot of people think the Slinky Dog Coaster will be the main attraction. The main attraction is always going to be that because it's got the third track, it's got higher capacity. And like I said about the Millennium Falcon ride, it's got that repeatability factor.
Right.
And people love Toy Story Mania. It's a much beloved attraction. So I feel that they righted kind of, you know, they fixed something which they should have done ages ago by giving it a proper, you know, themed entrance. And the entrance queue and all that sort of stuff will be much better for Toy Story Mania. But that will always be the main pull for that land. But Slinky Dog will be a nice coaster. It will be a nice added benefit. And the Alien Swirling Saucers attraction, basically it's Mace's Junkyard Jamboree. So if you've experienced ours in DSNY, it's the same sort of thing. Yeah. But you know, they've got to have a kid, you know, like a real kid-friendly ride, you know, for toddlers and stuff. And that's one they can all ride. So yeah.
Oh, so we've got Arjon's one of our great supporters. He comes with us on all the live streams, and he has got a $9.99 donation. Thanks for such a great video, guys. Thanks, Arjon.
Thanks, Arjon.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you.
He always tries to get me a Coke when I get tired of streaming. So, and Craig Murillo has a really interesting comment. Craig's one of our longtime followers here and sponsor, one of our sponsors as well. Wasn't Woody on a lunchbox when he was watching Woody's Roundup? One of the things was Woody's lunchbox.
That is true. Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, he had all that merchandise in Toy too, didn't he? That he was talking about. I'm on a lunchbox. But I just feel that from the confusion within the land, I don't think a lot of people remember that moment from Toy Story 2.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, Disney are playing up this factor that you're walking into Andy's backyard, and Andy's just been done playing with his toys in the back garden or backyard for a while, and we're walking around it. And so to keep that theming alive, I would have said Andy would have been a better choice. But good point with the Toy Story 2 merchandise.
Yeah.
But you could make arguments for both, basically.
You
but
could.
I personally feel that Andy would have been better. But
yeah. I agree. Well, and there's Dad's on there. Comedy video is awesome, and Lucas wants to say hi to everybody. So I'm just reading a couple here.
Wow stuff. Mr. Potato Head's French fries.
Andrew says. Andrew Justfig says, what do you think about Phase 3 of Disney's Hollywood Studios, Monsters Inc. Land? In terms of the Monsters Inc. Land and that sort of thing, Disney always had these different ideas up, and the very early development stages, very much blue sky, and they get tabled, then they get brought back and considered again, and then they get tabled again. And I think Monsters is one of those things where it's continuously in that motion of between being considered to being cancelled. So it's mixed up, but they are definitely wanting a Phase 3 of DHS, because they just don't feel that it's absolutely complete until they've made it a full-day park. Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land will help an awful lot towards that. But
yeah, I think so, and I think right now, of course, it's pretty sad, what they have there. But I think everybody kind of understands. It's definitely a half-day park now. But I think if you're planning a vacation, you're definitely a little disappointed that they're going to be adding almost an entire extra park to it, basically, once these two lands are open. So, and I want to thank Craig Murillo real quick. Thank you for a great weekend of streams. Wish we could get you Starbucks, Coke, and a cookie. I owe Mom snacks on the next stream for $19.99. Thanks, Craig. Thanks, Craig. So let's see. I think one of the merch items will be Woody lunchboxes. Well, yeah, I think that would definitely be something they need to sell.
But don't you guys feel it's a little bit weird that they haven't got like a major merchandise stand or a major merchandise store within Toy Story Land? It's a bit of an oversight, Yeah,
that is.
We've heard about Sweet Spells as being turned into a merchandise area, but I just expected them to build something just convert something closer by into a mini merchandise store. I mean, even if it's just outside the land, it would have made more sense to be in that kind of area. But
I totally agree.
I would think so too. And Shane makes a really good point here too. Do you think they'll maybe eventually move Space Ranger Spin to Toy Story Land? I really don't think so. Just even though it's kind of disjointed when you've got this major Pixar Toy Story attraction over there in Magic Kingdom, I don't think they're going to move it for.
Also, from the standpoint of Disney, it costs an awful lot of money to just move an attraction,
right?
Because they save money on the R&D of developing a new attraction, but they still have to spend all the money on building a new building to house this attraction, and then you've got the setup costs of making sure it's all set up correctly. So realistically, I don't see them moving an attraction. I know the typical example is Carousel of Progress, Disneyland to Walt Disney World, but that was like Disney's only ever done that kind of once or twice. But I don't expect them to do that.
Yeah.
No,
not at all.
Yeah.
I am surprised.
Unfortunately, I mean.
Yeah, well, and we're talking about the lack of a merchandise location. How much has Disney scaled back from the original plans and concept art from Toy Story Land?
So the Woody's Roundup section, it's very similar to what they were going to build, they have built in Shanghai Disneyland. At the back of their Bullseye swing ride, it's much like the Alien Swirling Saucers ride, but the Bullseye Roundup, I think it's called, or something like that. I don't stay with the Shanghai stuff quite as much, mainly for the reason that there's not an awful lot of viewers from China and Japan, so I don't cover an awful lot of park news from there.
Right.
But in terms of the actual, the village area, they cut back that, basically. It would have just been some facades. I would have loved them to keep that in there because it would have been a nice intro to the land, but, the budget was cut and that's what was on the chopping block.
Yeah. I was a little bit disappointed about that as well. I think I saw that in one of your videos as well, but we always know when those concept arts come up in the blue sky, and you know that you're not going to get everything on the art, so you just kind of have to brace yourself for that at some point.
Much like Epcot and Future World, that's very much blue sky concept art.
Right.
I see people, just comment on the fact that, we found this kind of thing just here in the blue sky concept of Epcot. and that could just be an artist impression. Basically, he's taken some artistic liberties with what he's drawn or she's drawn, and it's not necessarily going to be coming to that park. So the bare bones is there.
Right.
As we see with Epcot and the Future World concept art, Wonders of Life is definitely still there and it's prominent. So that won't be going away. But like people have been saying, like there's a maze and stuff within that concept art. That could all be chopped and changed.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, we should talk about that later. But I do have a super chat, $4.99 from Avery. Thanks, Avery. And he has a question. It says, awesome stream so far. In your opinion, do you think once Chapek becomes CEO, we'll get more original non-IP rides? Keep up the good work.
Yeah,
Thanks, Avery.
That's a very good, interesting question there. Basically, Chapek was, touted to become the next CEO. And I did a video on it in November. And then this whole Fox deal has completely thrown like a complete wrench or spanner in the works. And it's made it so therefore Chapek now has to wait a lot longer because, Iger's sticking around till 2021. So a lot of things can change up until then. But what do you guys think? Do you think Chapek will be a good CEO? Will you want him as a CEO? He's got experience in the merchandise, consumer products.
Right.
That's what he started off with. And now he's running the parks division. Now he's got consumer products back under his domain again. So we'll see more integration between Disney parks and the product side of things. So yeah, what do you guys think? Do you like Chapek or would you have preferred somebody? Yeah.
Let me thank Dre Houston real quick. She did a $20 donation. Thanks, Dre.
Thanks, Dre.
No question there, but just wanted to thank her before we got too far down here. So thanks, Dre Houston. We appreciate that. She's always so supportive.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dre. And as far as I think I don't know much about Chapek actually, but I know I think from coming from the merchandise side of things, I think unfortunately we probably are going to see more IP stuff because he understands the marketability of the merchandise from things that are in the Disney IP warehouse, so to speak. So when you start having more attractions from Pixar, from other Disney characters, there's that merchandise side of things that even though he's not in charge of merchandise anymore, I think he's going to be probably having that on his radar a lot because of his experience there. So while I would love to see, especially at Epcot, more kind of non-IP stuff and original attractions, original characters created for the parks, I don't have high hopes on it, unfortunately. I really would love to see it, and that's something I've been really disappointed about lately. They really haven't come up with anything original for the parks, but I don't really see him pushing that. But
one point which I'd like to make is, if you think of like the classic Disney attraction, if I say classic Disney attractions and see what people would write in the comments, I'm expecting a lot of people would say, Pirates,
right,
Haunted Mansion, Small World, Carousel of Progress, Splash Mountain, Big Thunder, Space Mountain. They're the classics in a way. Right. I may have left off one or two, but they're classics. And what do they all have sort of in common is there's no Disney IP attached to them originally.
That's true.
And they're what people would classic Disney ride. If you say name a Disney ride, a lot of people just say Small World. And that doesn't have any Disney movie property. So one stand the test of time have often been non-IP related. So what that says about what they're currently doing, it's an interesting dilemma. But will Guardians of the Galaxy play as well in 20 years? Will it be a Star Wars? Will it play well in 20 years? Or will it look a bit dated? It depends how well they keep that franchise alive.
That's true.
Star Wars has such a following. It's very difficult. But does Guardians of the Galaxy have that same following? I love it, but
I don't know. That's a great question. But I do appreciate your point on that because I really do think that Disney can't deny the success, of course, of Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean, and all those were Walt era creations. So I think that's another reason why they've really respected those and only made minor changes to them over the years. But somebody else is bringing up Spaceship Earth. And Mr. Toad, those are other classic attractions, and Mr. Toad wasn't a major IP.
Twilight Zone Tower of Terror.
That's true.
I would class that as a non-IP ride because Twilight Zone, you could like I made an argument recently in a video, you could take it out of the ride and it would still be okay, But whether that is a classic attraction, but definitely the one in Walt Disney World is a classic attraction.
Yeah.
Twilight.
Well, and actually, and let me say, Herschel Lenny Margie says, say hi to Jack for me. So Margie Lenny says, hi, Jack. $2. Thanks, Margie.
Hello.
And Avery has another question, $4.99 from Avery. Do you think the Tower of Terror at Disney's Hollywood Studios will become the one at Tokyo Disney Sea, my favorite Tower of Terror? If they take away the Twilight Zone IP from it, I hope it does.
Yeah, I see it an awful lot as well. A lot of people thinking that could be an easy change, and it could quite easily be an easy change to make. But with the one at Tokyo Disney, see, you've got the whole high tower hotel idea of it. Maybe you could easily see that. I think it might be a bit too jarring for what people come to expect from Twilight Zone Tower of Terror to this change. In Japan, Twilight Zone was never a thing, so it started out as an original attraction like that. So I think it would be a harder change for them to make, just from, not from the technology standpoint, but just from the people going there expecting one thing, and then the ride story has changed completely. Because it has to do with, like, you know, the magic of, or the curse of the statue. And that is quite a departure from the classic Disney story of Twilight Zone with, you know, the fifth dimension and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think actually, and I'm glad that I haven't heard any rumors about Tower of Terror at Walt Disney World changing anytime soon, because honestly, you know, going to Disneyland, the Guardians of the Galaxy now that was Tower of Terror, it was disappointing because, of course, I went on the Walt Disney World one first, and you know, the Walt Disney World one, it goes forward and there's a lot more to it, and I think, you know, the one at Disneyland was just kind of straight up and down, and it really wasn't as
cool.
No. So I think that one changing didn't upset me as much, but I really think that if they changed to Guardians of the Galaxy, you know, on Tower of Terror at Hollywood Studios, it would really be a major issue, and a lot of people would be upset.
Well, you've also got the thing. I think what's really not going to happen now is, because they put Guardians of the Galaxy in Epcot, you're not going to see it in Hollywood Studios, because they wouldn't split the IP between two different lands, two different parks. Sorry.
They've got control over it.
I would have. I don't know why they're building a roller coaster of I mean, it's going to be a great roller coaster. This Guardians of the Galaxy roller coaster. The things that we currently learned about it are pretty exciting, and surely Disney are going to make it even better and better. But personally, I would have put Guardians of the Galaxy into Rock and Roller Coaster. It would, to me, it would have been a more natural fit. You could have had the whole lineup scene with, you know, how you got the studio scene in Rock and Roller Coaster. You could have the kind of lineup, and you watched him be zapped and things like that. And then it would have been basically breakout again, but, you know, you're breaking out in a different form, and you could have had all the great songs from the Awesome Mix soundtrack on that roller coaster, and it would have been a great tweak to that roller coaster. It would have kept the same idea alive, but maybe plussed it to that point. But
that's actually,
I love that idea.
Thought about that. That would be good.
But, you know, I'm the first person to have that idea, probably. You know, lots of other people had it.
Well, and on a completely different subject, Bryson keeps posting, bring People Mover back to Disneyland. You know, I think that's a completely different subject, but I think that is really sad. What happened to that? The track was decaying, and then they made that Rocket Rods ride out of it, and then, you know, it kind of they just kind of left it there as a skeleton. So
sad.
Anyway, that is kind of sad. All right, so I think that's probably it for Toy Story Land, unless Jack, was there anything else you wanted to discuss on that?
No, not really. No.
Okay.
Heather said something I was actually going to say. She said, Jack, you should be a true Imagineer. You'd be amazing.
Yes.
I was just thinking the same thing. I was like, hey, you need to be an Imagineer.
Yeah, we need to start a campaign, guys. We need to start a change.org position to get Jack as an Imagineer, because, you know, I think that we would all agree with his ideas. So.
I liked that one.
Yeah.
I've got my own opinions of, like, I know we're talking about Walt Disney World, but like Pixar Pier. Yeah. Different ideas for how they could, you know, make Pixar Pier a lot better. Like, for instance, the Flix Flyer ride in Pixar Pier, it's going to be moved over to Pixar Pier to go in between, you know, in California Screaming, and they're theming it to Inside Out, and I just feel it's a missed opportunity not to theme it to Up, and the balloons of Up and the whole nature of that, and I just don't feel like Inside Out is the best fit for that. But like the Heimlich's Choo Choo Train from Bugs Land, I know we're not talking about Walt Disney World, but Disneyland for a minute.
Right.
if they'd have moved that to Pixar Pier and find a location for it somewhere around the back a bit like they do with Indiana Jones, maybe Inside Out Train of Thought, something like that, projection screens, it might have been a better fit for that IP, and it said like a clever little pun, Train of Thought. I think that they could have easily have done that as well, but
yeah, I think there's a lot of other
see.
things they could have done with that. That's one of those things that I think is going to be maybe a little bit hit or miss, is that Pixar Pier. We'll see how that goes. But let's see. I saw a couple comments on here before we move on. Everybody's saying, I love this. Oh, thanks, guys. We're having a great time, too.
Yeah,
we are really excited to do this. Oh, Avery says, this is interesting. Avery says they're demolishing the tracks for the People Mover. I had not heard that at Disneyland.
Didn't know that either.
Huh. Well, that's sad if that's the case, because it's such an iconic structure there, and it's already there. To me, it would have been easier to, kind of refurb it and get it back and going, but maybe not. I don't know. I'm not an engineer, so.
I've got a question, Jack. Skywalker Brian says, Jack, but Vekoma being a Sensei Technologies being reported last month, does this affect the ride design plans for the Tron coaster, or no, in your opinion? Because obviously Vekoma manufactures the Tron coaster.
Right.
I think coming on to Tron next, are we, or?
Yes, actually, it's on. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and start. We're going to start.
Nice little segue.
Perfect segue.
Brian there.
I know. Start talking about Tron. Yeah.
I actually know Skywalker Brian as well. He runs a website called skywalkingadventure.com. So go ahead and check that out. He does like in-depth, real in-depth pieces, opinion pieces, op-eds on different news pieces.
Nice.
It's not, like really, up to the second news, but it's really in-depth when he does do an article. What I was going to say about the actual Tron coaster itself is they've said Tron-themed ride. Mm-hmm. So we've all assumed it's going to be identical to the one in Shanghai.
That's true.
Until we see more details about it, that's just assumptions on that part. It probably will be the same as Shanghai, but I think they're giving themselves that leeway there and that kind of like freedom, creative freedom, to change it up slightly for Tomorrowland in the Magic Kingdom, because the Tomorrowland in Shanghai looks a lot different to what it does in Magic Kingdom.
That's true.
So yeah, that's my opinion on the Tron thing.
Okay.
What do you guys think about it? What do you have?
Real quick, I want to read. Avery's got $1.99 here. Yep, Fresh Bake revealed the permits for it. Okay, well that's interesting. So that's a different topic. That's interesting. Thanks, Avery. Yeah. So as far as the Tron thing, yeah, I kind of was wondering, why are they doing a carbon copy of the same exact thing at Shanghai, even though it is wildly popular? It seemed to me that maybe they could do something different with it. So I'm all for them doing something different. Obviously, I'm not a big fan of carbon copy rides. I on my bucket list is to visit all the Disney parks eventually. So I would like to go and ride different experiences at each park. That's just me. So.
I mean, I agree. But if you never get over there, then at least there's one here in the States as well. I mean, I can see both sides.
Yeah.
So I'm not a big flyer, so I don't know.
It'll be interesting how it changes as well in terms of health and safety.
Right.
I mean, the US has much tighter health and safety regulations than China.
That's true.
So, the ride system itself, who knows whether that will have to change slightly for the US market.
It might.
We're still very early on Tron. It's not going to open until 2021 for the 50th anniversary. So we're still far out on that. So until we get more specifics on the ride details and stuff like that, we're still yet to find out.
Well, really, all they've officially announced is they're going to give a Tron theme ride, and that we know where it's going. We really don't even know that it's a coaster. It's never been confirmed. So you're right.
Yeah. The interesting thing is, there are insiders all over the place, and a lot of good inside information comes from WDW Magic forums.
Right.
I check those out as well. And the thing that gets reported an awful lot is there is unseen concept art for Tomorrowland in terms of the Tron coaster that reveals the future of the Tomorrowland Speedway and its theming. And we all believe it's going to be Tron themed in some way, because it would be too jarring to do something right in front of that attraction which isn't going to be Tron themed. So something neon and see that. Can't possibly see it later this year, maybe summer, depending. But
Right.
And I don't expect them to sit on it for too much longer.
No, probably
No,
not.
yeah.
Well, and Annie Simple Life says, personally, I feel that the Tron ride should take over Tomorrowland Speedway because smelly. Yeah, you know, it would be nice actually if they did some kind of electric cars. It really does smell over there. But
Yeah.
as it is right now, the theming doesn't fit anything like Tron at all. So they definitely need to do something with it. So people are asking if it's going to take over. All indications right now are that it's not going to take over, but like Jack said, that the Speedway will be somehow rethemed.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, the Speedway isn't going away. It's not going to be removed in that kind of way. Mainly for the reason that Disney are very, they see the popularity of it. They see what kind of place it holds within people's hearts. And more so than anything else, it holds a practicality reason of, you know, little kids can ride it. And in Tomorrowland, if they've got the Tron Coaster, Space Mountain, you know, they need rides where kids can ride in Tomorrowland as well. So
that's true. Otherwise, Tomorrowland's irrelevant for kids. And,
yeah,
you know, so that's
a difficult place. Yeah,
very good point. Okay, so I'll tell you what. Let's do real quick here. I see some great comments, and we will get to those. We already kind of talked about how it's going to fit into the current Tomorrowland landscape, but let me play some Tron construction footage, and you know, let's just watch it. And if you have any comments along the way, you can make them, and if not, we'll go from there. It's not as easy to see here, guys, because I kind of started just along the railroad here, so kind of walking back in that direction, and you can see the New Fantasyland train station there. So anyway, we'll see what we can see here, and they have started the ground clearing, so I don't know. Maybe you can speak to how it's going to come.
I've had people send footage to where they've taken it from the Dumbo attraction.
There you go.
And also, you know, in the Fantasyland attractions and stuff like that. And you can get a pretty good view of the construction. I don't know if that was because it was, you know, winter and, you know, it's now grown over. You can't really see it.
It's kind of hard to see, but there you can see it a little bit.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah.
And that's from the queue for the Goofy's Barnstormer attraction. So, and then there'll be another clip here in just a second for that. Looks like my clips didn't quite render in the order that I wanted them to, but let me see here. There we go. So there you can see construction tents and a little bit there over the top.
So essentially, at the moment, there's not a lot of, you know, construction like other places. I mean, I'd say that they're doing more construction in Guardians at the moment. There's more to see there. But Tron, it's more land clearing in that area because, you know, it was unprepped land, so they had to do an awful lot of land clearing and preparation and build out slightly into that kind of retention pond area. So yeah, it's interesting to see that they've cleared the land. So construction will start there fairly soon in a big way.
And now, as to where it connects, the connection, I don't know, I was supposed to have it in this clip here, but there we go. Okay, as to where it connects, is the actual entrance going to be somewhere along the berm here, right next to Space Mountain, or do we know anything about that yet? Hold on, here we go.
Yeah, I'm seeing it as well. So essentially the connection will be as it seems in the concept art. So you'll walk beyond Space Mountain down by there, and the train will pass under the theming of the canopy. That's what I meant to say, canopy of the Tron attraction. So personally, I feel that there's going to be a bit of a jarring transition there unless they enclose the turn of a century locomotive somehow, because I feel that not only for people on the train, seeing the Tron neon lights at night will be weird, but I also feel that people waiting in queue or on the line to go on Tron, seeing a turn of a century train come past, it will ruin the theming. So hopefully they enclose it somehow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I actually, yesterday we had a couple people do a live stream for us from Disneyland, and one of the coolest things at Disneyland is the Dinorama, the Grand Canyon area, that whole thing.
Yeah.
It would be actually kind of cool, and this would be extra money, I know, but it would be really cool if they enclosed it past a certain point here. And let me go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and switch up back over here. But it'd be really cool if they enclosed it and put some kind of an additional scene there. And I don't know, they could do really whatever they wanted, but I think that would keep the theming more authentic for both ways, because then you would be able to you know, not see the train, and also the people on the train are not going to see something completely futuristic. So
yeah, I mean, kind of like that same sort of Dinorama thing. It just requires quite a bit of space for that kind of thing, so it widens the area where the track would go through.
That's true.
Yeah.
I could just see Disney World essentially just blocking with some sort of brick tunnel just to
You're right.
enclose. I mean, it won't. I mean, you'll fly through it basically. It's not going to be a huge area where you'll be back to seeing things again. But I can see them just bricking it up a little bit.
They could do a train speed tunnel like in the old if you had wings or in the Buzz Lightyear speed tunnel room, but they're not going to do that.
No, that would be cool.
Let's see here. Oh, somebody says if you take the monorail to Epcot, you can get a good view of the construction. I will have to do that. I didn't get a chance to do that before this stream, but I will have to do that. And and Dan is telling me that we can drive by it on the way to the Contemporary because those roads actually back towards Reams Road are open now, so we might have to do that and get some better footage of that.
Yeah.
So yeah. Awesome. Well, and I see Kitty Travels on here. I'm just looking at a few people on here, and I see a couple other people just saying hello. So let's see. We talked about the Speedway being changed. And one of my questions was, how do you feel about this basically being a carbon copy? But I think what we're saying is it probably, more than likely, is not going to be a carbon copy.
Well, until we get more ride specifics on it, I wouldn't hold out all hope on it being an exact carbon copy. Obviously, they're going to do something fairly similar, but I do expect there to be differences. Much like Battle Escape in Disneyland and in Walt Disney World, they're the same attraction, but the ride layout, well, the ride queue layout, the area for pre-show is slightly different. And same sort of thing here. Each ride it's pretty much the same, but depending on its vicinity and the area it's got, it will be slightly different. Much like Voyage of a Little Mermaid, not Voyage of a Little Mermaid, Little Mermaid ride in Magic Kingdom, and then you've got I think it's Journey into Little Mermaid. Mm-hmm. That's it. And then the one in DCA, they're slightly different in terms of the queue space available. And that's what we're going to see again with Tron, because different types of area that they've got to be able to queue.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. So that's probably more likely. Avery $1.99, thank you, and he says, will the new Speedway be sponsored by Smart? That's anybody's guess. I don't really know. I mean, the Smart electric cars, it would be cool if they did electric cars. I think it'd be a lot more futuristic. I don't know.
I'd prefer to see Tesla, but...
Yeah, there you go.
That would be cool.
But to be honest, it could be a case of Honda maybe doing some sort of sponsorship again, since they sponsor one in Disneyland. If they're happy with their sponsorship in Disneyland, maybe they'll be brought over from Magic Kingdom. But if Disney just go down the IP route, Disney are less and less inclined to do sponsorships. Right. They just don't. They don't really want to be tied to the kind of sponsorship cycle anymore. If they want to change an attraction, they want to change it. And with a sponsorship, you've got to kind of do it to the contracted basis of when things need to change. That's true. When was the last time we saw a brand new sponsorship, really? I mean, I'd say the last thing we really saw was like Pandora for Main Street Hub area.
Well, yeah,
but that's not going to be anything massive. So
no.
It's not an attraction sponsorship in that sort of way.
Even Spaceship Earth is no longer sponsored by Siemens, so that was something a big change that they did there. So let's see here. Somebody... there might be a weight restriction for the Tron bike, Skywalker Brian says, but it still has TBA and you can still look at it for Shanghai Disneyland. That's interesting because I know that was a big kind of hubbub about Flight of Passage with the weight restrictions and with the size restrictions for some guests not being able to ride it. I don't know. What do you think about that, Jack? Do you think there will be some kind of a weight or size restriction on that?
Well, I mean, the actual ride vehicle, I'd say, it's restrictive in a way. But then again, they do have in Shanghai, they do have specialized ride vehicles for everybody. For if even if it's that you want a less intense experience, even if you don't want to sit riding over the bike like that, you can sit in a different compartment at the back, and it's a less intense ride experience from that kind of standpoint. So maybe Walt Disney World will bring in more of those to offer a bit more variety within the attraction, so therefore people won't feel like I've got to sit enclosed and have this thing clamped down on my back, which is how it works to lock you in place. Because health and safety, like I said, in America is different to how it's in China. So maybe that's what will end up happening. Maybe a couple more of those ride vehicles added to it.
Yeah, I think
train.
that would be good, giving people options. I think that's something they didn't do in Flight of Passage, and they definitely can do in this case.
That makes sense.
And let's see, we'll have to save that one for later. Big Al has a really good question. If you could have a conversation with Walt Disney, what would you ask him? Let's save that for the end. We've got kind of a Q&A there, but that's a good one. I want to keep that.
I like that.
And Too Bad 2010 says, disagree about Tron being out of place. That means a massive castle in the middle of a park is out of place, and seeing Spaceship Earth from any country around Epcot nostalgic. Well, that is a good point. I mean, there are places where things are out of place in Disney World. I think it is pretty jarring seeing a Turn of the Century train in something, like Tron, but Disney has done that before, so that is a good point. I don't know, what do you think, Jack?
When I said out of place, I didn't mean out of place in Tomorrowland. Obviously, Tron fits perfectly in Tomorrowland.
Right.
Perfect fit for it. But I meant as in terms of the train, because in the concept art you can see the train going under the canopy for Tron and it's exposed. And I was saying, if you want to keep the cohesiveness and the immersive feeling of both attractions correct, I would say enclose the train, so therefore one can't see the other.
I think that it should be that way. I think that I understood what you were saying, but there are some times when Disney doesn't always, they don't always hide things, or they don't, things are sometimes a little bit jarring one way or the other. But I think for the most part they try to make things fit together well. I was seeing a few other comments here. Let's see. Is there an official date for Star Wars Land? Nope. We were just talking about that. D23. Jack said before D23 in 2019 something is supposed to be open. Whether it's California or Florida, we don't know.
Probably California.
Yeah. I would put money on Disneyland because we the latest aerial construction shots we've got there are quite a far bit ahead. I'd say around 2 months ahead than Disney World. So depends really. There is a possibility that they could just hold off on opening it to the public and just do it as like AP events and things like that to do soft open and open both lands on the same day. But we're still 14 months away from that really happening. So let's. I'll continue to give everybody updates on DSNY Newscast as and when the date change and things like that.
And
news is fluid.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, we never know. It always changes as it goes. Avery at $1.99 says, if you could add any country to World Showcase, what would it be? That's a good question. And hi, Mr. Serrano.
If I had to add a world to World Showcase, a country to World Showcase, that's a good question. The obvious one that a lot of people have said is Brazil. They want to see Brazil represented.
Right.
I would like to see another Asian country represented a little bit more, or even an African country. I know, there's an awful lot of that kind of representation within Animal Kingdom, because obviously you've got the different continents within there as well. But I'd just like to see a bit more variety within World Showcase from that standpoint. I mean, you could easily look at another European country and bring another one in there, like Spain. But, Spanish architecture, Italian architecture is probably a bit better known than UK and France and all that sort of stuff. It's probably a bit, but we could look at Spain. It depends really whether they can get the corporate sponsorship behind that country coming to World Showcase, because that's one area where Disney still want the kind of sponsorships for the building of the new pavilion.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I actually, I've heard Brazil a lot. I don't know. Those are some good points. Somebody says Australia.
Australia's a good point. Yeah.
That would be really.
Or somebody said Greece.
PJ Drayton says Australia. That's a very good shout because Australia doesn't get represented anywhere,
right.
and they've got their own unique different animals of the country and stuff like that, and you can easily theme things to Australia.
Yeah.
And you really could have a pretty cool ride. They've got the outback and so many different landscapes, and so Australia would be a really good one. Even
some sort of petting area,
some kangaroos in there.
That would be awesome.
That's actually a really good idea. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, New Zealand actually in that same area is pretty. It's got a beautiful landscape as well. So
Russia as well.
That's
that would be
unlikely just because of the current relationship with the U.S. and Russia. But
I understand where they're coming from because obviously they had previous unbuilt concept art for that pavilion.
Right, that's true.
And Japan is another one, isn't it? The Mount Fuji roller coaster they were considering.
That would have been cool.
Which is going to be similar to like the Matterhorn. And the bullet train attraction. So a lot of people would still like to see Japan represented as well.
Yeah. Well, so I think that's probably everything on Tron for now. And then I had the next topic was Skyliner. And again, sorry if we don't get your comment. We will get it as soon as we can. But we'll get on to Skyliner, which is really exciting because a lot of people, even I've seen a few questions go by when we were on another topic about the monorail expansion. But first of all, I guess as I'll put some Skyliner footage up, and then I think a lot of people, have talked about replacing the monorails, but I think the Skyliner is really where Disney's going because it's a lot cheaper to build and maintain. Do you agree with that, or?
I completely agree with that. Yeah, and to be honest, for Skyliner, it's easier to expand as well.
Right.
I mean, I love the monorail. I love the the futuristic travel of tomorrow, the transportation of tomorrow. But the idea behind the Skyliner is it's just so much cheaper to put up quickly and connect for different resorts. And if I would bet in the next 5 years, if the Skyliner is successful at transporting as many people as they want it to, you're going to see that connect Animal Kingdom as well. Just because it doesn't require an awful lot of upheaval that the monorail would do with building whole new tracks and stuff like that. This one, you just got to put a couple of pylons in place and zip across to Animal Kingdom. It's just a permanent transportation route. So, I just hope that Disney never remove the monorail because it's such an iconic element of Walt Disney World. And to this day, when people are new and they're going to Walt Disney World for the first time, a lot of people still have never ridden a monorail. I mean, a lot of airports around the world nowadays have monorails and stuff like that. But the Disney World monorail is a classic. It's not an attraction, but it is a classic staple of Walt Disney World.
I think that's really true, and I know what some people are saying, but update the monorail, because the current vehicles are really, really sketchy right now. So with the parts falling off and doors coming open, so I really think they need an update.
But the monorail replacements have been rumored for years. I mean, it dates back, ages, forever. Basically, it's been rumored that they've been needing new ones, and every once in a while we hear new rumors about new monorails coming. And until we get some sort of official announcement on monorails, it's pretty difficult to know. But the Skyliner is something which took me by surprise in a way. Obviously, I knew about before the official announcement at D23, and we all did because it was just such a badly kept secret. But I do feel it's a bit of an odd decision, but it's cheaper to do. So Disney clearly going to do that. So
yeah, I agree, and I think. Let's see. This is a really good question. Florida thunderstorms will shut the Skyliner down often. I wonder if that's the case, or if they will have it to the point where it's safe unless we get to a certain wind level. That is a concern because the monorail doesn't really shut down in storms.
Yeah. I suppose that is a point as well. But don't forget, Skyliners and that kind of gondola system. It's a very expensive system. It's not like the Skyway. Right. It's heavy duty, and they're used. This specific system, I believe, is being used in China already, different parts of Europe, and all sorts. And they have extreme weather everywhere. Really bad snowstorms in Europe and stuff like that. So it gets a fair whacking like that. But in terms of the actual shutting down. Also, the lightning aspect and things like that, Disney have already accounted for that. They'll be putting, special lightning poles and stuff up. So hopefully it shouldn't be shut down too often. But once it gets up and running, it's that continuous flow, that continuous capacity that it can handle.
Yeah, I think, and that's the other thing I was wondering, and I have this as a question there. By the way, I see Florida's Worst Vlog on there. I love that name for a vlog.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so hi, Florida's Worst Vlog. So we have, let's see. Do you think? Let's see. I have how efficient do you think that it will be able to handle large crowds? I know the monorail, coming out of the Magic Kingdom at night is a nightmare. Trying to get on the monorail and the ferry boat and all the different transportation forms. Do you think it can handle big crowds efficiently, or do you think there'll be long lines? What's your feeling on that?
Initially, I reckon it will be long lines just because it's a novelty factor. People want to ride it because it'll be like a ride outside the parks. Yeah. When something new arrives, people always want to experience it. I think that's the reason why the minivans got such a big bump in the first couple of months of when it opened. Things level off like that, transportation. But eventually, give it a year, people will just come to expect it, like, you know, the buses and the boats and everything, you know, all the different ways you can move around Walt Disney World.
That's
so initially, I think, yeah, you'll see larger crowds for it. We haven't got any sort of pricing on it. I mean, I expect it's going to be free to Walt Disney World guests.
I wonder if they will actually check admission, though, because they don't check admission on other transportation.
It'll be interesting to be just Walt Disney World Resort guests, and then, you know, third-party people staying out in out near you know, a Disney Springs. Sorry. Yeah, whether I always refer to it as marketplace. So.
Right.
Yeah, so no, but out near the Disney Springs area, those kind of good neighborhood hotels, whether they'll be cut off from it to begin with, who knows? But I don't expect, you know, there will be huge crowds to begin with.
Well, and somebody here, let's see. I was looking at a comment. Oh, sorry, somebody was asking if I had sunburn. Yeah, no, I think I do, probably from Animal Kingdom today a little bit. Thanks, Scott, for sharing our videos out. So yeah, I mean, I think you're right about the novelty. I mean, of course, now granted, a Skyliner is cooler, you know, than a bus, or than, you know, monorail is pretty cool, but the Skyliner is going to give people a really nice view. So I think that may hold on to popularity maybe a little bit more than other forms of transportation, but only time will tell. And I really do think they probably will check admission somehow if the crowds get too bad, just to keep the crowd down, so that people don't just go park at, you know, at a resort or at Disney Springs or whatever and start riding it.
Just ride it for fun.
Yeah. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
So, what other thoughts do you have about the system, or any other comments on that, on the Skyliner?
Not really. Do you guys have any more comments on it? Or?
I don't think so. I was looking at it to see if any had any questions.
Do you want to move on to some of these questions?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. And I think, so guys, we're going to take some questions for Jack if you have any. One thing too, I saw somebody say no AC on the Skyliners. Have we heard anything about that? That is in Florida. That is an interesting question.
There should be.
Yeah. Well, I'm still trying to track down the exact model they're going to be using, but in terms of, I mean, what it's been reported as at the moment is it's going to have very good south ventilation within the actual cabins themselves. So at the moment, it doesn't indicate there's going to be strict AC within the actual cabin. It's going to be good ventilation, which even, you know, then on a hot summer day in Florida, it can be very humid, and it might be like a sauna inside one of those you know, cabins. But I don't think Disney would have picked a design which will not have good ventilation, you know, because they're not idiots. They don't want people to be.
They had to have thought of this.
Sweating
90-something degrees in Florida.
They don't want people to pass out.
Yeah,
they don't want people passing out before they get to the parks. They want people.
They want your money.
Getting them in.
Without paramedics on standby in the stations.
As you get off the Disney Skyliner, you know, they're just wheeling people off, you know, just straight into the back of a.
That's not a good look.
No.
So okay, guys, let's go with some questions for Jack. And by the way, as you guys are typing the questions out, I want to remind everybody. I know you know, we've been on for a while, so want to make sure everybody subscribes to both Jack's channel at DSNY Newscast. Make sure you click the bell to get notified every time he has a new video on Tuesdays and Thursday. And so make sure you check those out. And go back and look through the back catalog, because a lot of the things we talked about, he's got videos on, and that's where I've gotten a lot of my information. Because honestly, I don't have time to read the message boards, so you know, I don't have time to read a lot of things. But you know, I can watch Jack's videos and stay pretty informed. So please go subscribe to DSNY Newscast, everybody.
I'll just say, Gamer Girl has said Jack should take all Walterners to Disney World one day, someday. I wish I had that much money.
Yes.
If I had that kind of money, you know, it'd be a different story. But it's very expensive just to go from the UK to Disney World by myself.
Yes.
You know, I'm very envious of you guys living so close to the magic in that way. You know, I'm just a guy who loves Disney and talks about it on a weekly basis, living in the UK.
Yeah, living close.
Much like awesome. A lot of people who watch my channel, and you guys on ResortTV1, because you know, most people, we don't live near the magic, so we can't get that instant. I think a lot of people who do live very close to it, it just becomes part of their life, and they just take it, you know, as part of their life. And some people take it for granted, you know, that they've got Disney World so close. Yeah. And so for a lot of people, our channels, you know, ResortTV1 and DSNY Newscast, the only kind of ways that people can really get that kind of feel of Disney stuff on a regular basis. I mean, there's a lot of other great channels out there. TPM Vids does great videos. Rob Plays does great videos. I've seen Matt in the comment section here. Yeah. He does great videos as well. You know, there's a whole list of Disney Dan, Tim Tracker, obviously. And then you've got all the vloggers and all those other ones as well, Defunctland. There's just so many great YouTube channels out there, but I don't live near Walt Disney World, so I can't. It just really hurts me to not be able to get to the parks as often as I'd love to.
Yeah,
actually, because I've only been here not quite a year, and that's how I got my Disney fix. Like, okay, what video am I gonna watch today? I need to get my Like,
she knew a lot of the vloggers before I did.
I did.
And whenever the channel, the ResortTV1 started to take off, which by the way, make sure you subscribe if you're new here. Make sure you subscribe to ResortTV1 as well and hit the bell. But really, I was just kind of messing around with it, and she said, we need to get this started. We need to get this going.
There, we got to get going.
We got to get going and do this. And so we really started doing that. But it's been a lot of fun, kind of keeping up with it that way. And I think some of the nicest comments we've gotten from people are even people that are saying they're disabled, they're not able to travel, or even people in a hospital bed. And, as sad as the situation is, for them to say we were able to bring a little bit of joy to them by watching a video about either what's coming next or, us live in the park, and then, I remember when I rode that when I was there. I think that really has a value that's you can't put a price on. So
yeah,
totally
agree. Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, the possibility of being able to walk around Disneyland and Walt Disney World as you done live, it's such a novelty for most people. Most people only get to experience that when a loved one or a friend or family member has gone to Walt Disney World and they get FaceTimed, and they get to see a bit of that. Like my brother went to Walt Disney World on his honeymoon back in November into December, and he FaceTimed me, and you get to experience a bit of magic like that. But you guys provide it on a weekly basis, so it's a real novelty, and it's a real unique concept from that kind of standpoint. Yeah.
Well, we love doing it. It's a lot of fun for sure.
Fun, yeah.
Somebody, Gamerville says liked for Jack saying my name. And somebody, I think Annie Simple Life or somebody said, Jack, what timestamp are you putting the hidden Mickey in? Well, I don't think that's not possible on a live stream, but we'll if we can get a drawing of a Mickey somewhere and we can show it up. But Jack does do a lot of really cool stuff like that on his channel. To really see who's paying attention and things like that. To different, he'll ask a question. Who feels this way, like he was saying earlier, name restaurant titles for Toy Story Land, and just different, what's your idea? You're the Waltoneer, you're the Imagineer. And I think that's a really cool thing
like to get everyone's opinions on it, because there were so many great ideas out there, and we all do it when we walk around a Walt Disney World or a Disneyland or a Disneyland Palace or something like that. We all armchair Imagineer. Right. I mean, I can't help myself. I walk around a park and I'll be stood there in a 45-minute wait, and I'll be thinking to myself, I could make this better, I could make that better.
Right.
And that's what Walt Disney did. He walked around Disneyland and he experienced as a guest. Sometimes he would sneak onto a ride. Yes, sure, sometimes he'd cut the lines and stuff like that because he didn't want to be recognized.
Right.
But he wanted to experience it like the guest did. And that's the reason why Disneyland did so well to begin with, because he was experiencing it as everybody did.
Right.
And he knew where it needed to improve. And maybe within the Disney executive team now, maybe they do need to do more of that. Maybe they do need to be, incognito within the parks a bit more and experience a bit more of a real Disney experience, and improve it like that maybe sometimes. But yeah,
I agree. Totally.
Absolutely. When Heather asked, Jack, do you sell your shirts? He actually does. Jack, what's the site for your Waltoneers and your DSNY merchandise?
Yeah, it's DSNYNewscast.com, and the shirts are for sale there. They get shipped out roughly within 5 days of ordering. So if you go in, by the end of a month or something like that, give it, I'd say 3 weeks before you go to make sure you get your shirt in time.
Right. But
the company that does it, they're based out in America, so it does shipped fairly quickly. It's not like it's international shipping from the UK. It's because I looked into the cost of international shipping, and it was it was ridiculous. It was even for one T-shirt, it was quite a lot. Yeah. So I didn't want to do that. So I've done it via a company in America, but still the drop shipping idea of it, it costs quite a bit to pay for fees like that and stuff like that. But
it really does. Well, and we've got our Resort TV1 shirts as well, and the whole thing there. But and we're on Spreadshirt. It's resorttv1.spreadshirt.com. But what's interesting about that is we had to open up a UK shop because a lot of our UK viewers said that the shipping was so astronomical that it really almost doubled the cost of the shirt. So that's why we did that. So.
Also, I looked into Spreadshirt, and Spreadshirt in the US is good, but it's quality control.
Yeah.
And I was planning for a while because I was wanting to monitor that kind of thing as well. But running a store by itself, let alone a YouTube channel, I'm only one person that does it all. I do the YouTube channel, I answer the comments, I answer all the questions on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, do all that sort of stuff. So I'm pulled in every direction. So, but yeah, I mean, the reason why I started DSNY Newscast is to present the news. So that's what comes first, always in my book.
Right.
In a way.
Well, for sure. And somebody's got a really cool question here. I had a couple on here, but I love, let's see, somebody, Kim T asked, if Jack is in the UK, is there anything that they could add to the UK pavilion in Epcot? That's a great question.
Well, I did a video on it a while back, a month ago, and it's Mary Poppins.
Yes.
I love Mary Poppins. I'm really looking forward to Mary Poppins Returns later this year. Mm-hmm. I think Emily Blunt's a great actress, and she'll do an amazing job of it. I just hope that when they do that movie, the music is very good, because it's what made it for me in the first one. I'll still listen to that soundtrack
Absolutely.
over and over again.
Absolutely.
A bit of Jolly Holiday, a bit of one of my favourite ones is Let's Go Fly a Kite, and then also A Man Has Dreams of Walking with Giants, which is the little kind of sort of song that George Banks but I just really hope they nail that. And the rumoured moment is they're bringing an attraction to the UK pavilion, Mary Poppins, and construction set to begin in 6 months' time. So we'll see what happens in September or around that sort of time towards the end of this year. See what happens in that sort of area. But it doesn't have a massive budget apparently. Oh. So yeah, but any Mary Poppins ride I'll take.
Anything would be great. I don't think there are enough rides in World Showcase, so I think especially having one in the UK, which is directly opposite from Norway and from Mexico, I think it'll be good to add a little bit of balance. I know Ratatouille is of course coming to France, but I still think that there needs to be more on that side of World Showcase, so I think they really need that.
Yeah.
Cool.
And also, somebody asked earlier, which I think this is really cool. We have the real Walt Disney in chat here. He's come out of cryogenic freezing, and he's here in the chat. So thanks for being here, Walt. But somebody asked Jack, and you kind of were talking about Walt and the way he would quality control and would walk around the parks. But what question would you ask Walt if he were still alive?
Right. If I could have a chat with Walt Disney, well, number one, I would have a job. And then the next piece of advice I'd tell him is don't smoke, because we all know what led to. Yeah. And if he'd have stopped smoking, Epcot, what would that be?
Yeah, seriously.
Right.
But if I had one question to ask him, it would probably be a bit about. It's a really good question about this, actually. I've never really thought about speaking to the guy himself. I mean, I know so much about him. It would probably be something along the lines of, what is it that drives your decision making? What is it that is the main thing? Because he had so many failures at the very beginning. I would just love to get in and really understand the mindset behind his struggle, and how many naysayers put him down and tried to end his career prematurely, and his viewpoint towards the striking powers and things like that. And I really want to get into the conversation on the people who had it in for him at the beginning, because he faced adversity throughout his life. The guy was in his biographies and stuff like that, it says the guy was never flush with money. He was one of the few Hollywood execs who would continuously reinvest his money into different projects. And the Disney company was nearing bankruptcy in the late 1940s, It was Cinderella that saved it. And I just love to speak to him from a business standpoint, an entrepreneurial level, than anything else. Because we hear all these quotes on guest experience, on rides, on all this sort of stuff, but we don't ever really hear him talk business. And much like with Steve Jobs, we have those great D20 all things D talks, conference talks, all about how he looked at Apple as business. I'd love to know what Walt Disney really thought about Disney as a business.
Yeah.
And
Well, one of the things I've read about Walt is actually that he, Roy was of course the money genius, the financial genius, but Walt really felt that money was just a means to an end. He really had no affinity for money. He wasn't somebody who wanted to be rich. I think he wanted to be comfortable, and certainly he was later in life, but I think he really money was a means to create his ideas, and that was his passion, whereas a lot of business executives just want to please the stockholders and just want to get rich. I think what really set Walt apart...
Apparently there are tapes within the Disney company of Walt Disney talking at great length about everything, about what he goes really into depth about animation, about the parks, about all sorts. And it's well known that Katzenberg found them and stuff like that in the 80s and listened to them over and over and over. And I believe Iger did the same thing when he became CEO. And I just love to listen to it. I could easily listen to hours and hours of Walt just talking.
Absolutely.
Even if it was terrible audio, I could easily listen to it.
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely.
I just wish I had access to it. But
we pay for that for sure.
yeah, I'll pay a lot of money for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so, and Avery asks, thanks Avery, $4.99 super chat, thanks Avery, and he asks, if you could bring back a retired ride but replace a current ride with it, which rides would it be and why? For me, bring back Horizons and get rid of Mission Space. I think a lot of people feel that way. The likelihood of that is very, very low, but I think a lot of people feel that way. What do you think, Jack?
I agree with Avery there, but I'll come up with another one just for the sake of it. I do agree with him on that one, on that point there. I was just going to say, probably, if I had to remove one ride, let's start off with one which I'd remove. Are we just talking Walt Disney World? Are we just talking... I'm guessing we are, yeah?
Probably.
Probably so.
Yeah, okay. I've got to bring back a ride from the past. Just trying to think.
There's Downscale. Hey, Downscale, he's back.
Well, you see, the one I would have picked was Horizons, so it's pretty difficult for me to... And don't forget, I'm only 26, so I haven't seen an awful lot of rides go away.
Right.
So it's pretty difficult for me to choose one which isn't... I mean, Horizons I only just experienced, because I was only just old enough, but I was still a toddler when I experienced it.
Wow.
But fortunately enough, an awful lot of the rides which have gone away, I never really got to experience. I mean, I would have loved to experience the original version of Carousel of Progress before all of the different iterations and stuff like that. And probably the original version of Journey into the Imagination, because I never got to experience the original version of that.
Yes, I would replace that
as well.
Yeah, for sure.
If I had to get remove a ride, it would probably be Stitch's Great Escape or Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor, because I feel that they're not really fitted within Tomorrowland very well.
No, I'm a little bit. I'm on that same.
Agree.
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people like Stitch.
I love Stitch. He's
but
one of my
I think
favorites,
they could have done more.
There we go.
I'll
I'll remove Stitch's Great Escape and I'll bring back Alien Encounter.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Now Avery probably wouldn't like that because he likes Stitch's Great Escape, but that's okay. So Avery has another question. $4.99. Thanks, Avery. What would have happened if WDW was built in Niagara Falls, New York, instead of Florida? Would Florida pretty much be a swamp and a poor economy? Well, I don't think that Disney World would have done well in Niagara Falls just because of the weather. They'd have to dig out of several feet of snow all the time.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. What do you think, Jack?
Well, C.B. Wood, who was the guy who helped build Disneyland. And Walt fell out with him because C.B. Wood, basically, he said, I built Disneyland. I'm the guy that created Disneyland. Oh, no, Walt did, and Roy did. And he tried to build a theme park out in New York as well, and it failed, and it didn't do very well. So I just don't feel the market out there is right for theme parks. Really, you need a warmer climate in a way.
Really
That's perfect for it, really. And that's the reason why, coming back to original statement about UK Disneyland or something like that, I'd love to see a UK Disneyland, but it's too close to Disneyland Paris.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Yep. Sorry. There's a storm outside, and our dog kind of freaked out there. Jenny,
Okay.
you try and grab him real quick. So anyway, yeah. So I think that's really true, and yeah, we talked before the stream. Everybody else didn't get to hear this, but about Disneyland, and I think. Yeah, it is too close. I think that's the big thing. But he was upset. I think it's too close, and I think that the weather, either way, I think would probably prevent from being. Well, I think the closeness is the biggest thing. Because really, I mean, like you said, Paris and UK weather is fairly similar. They're not that far apart. So anyway. Let me see here. Okay. Oh, he hates Stitch.
Avery says, I hate Stitch's Greatest Escape, but love Stitch.
Okay, all right.
I totally
That's
agree.
okay.
I agree with that. I don't mind Stitch. I just don't like Stitch's Greatest Escape.
Yeah, Stitch is pretty awesome.
He's
I
one
agree
of
with
my
that.
favorites, yeah.
Let's see if we get another couple
But they could have
questions
come
here.
up with a better ride for sure.
Yes, they could. Well, or a better attraction for
Yeah,
sure.
attraction.
Let's see. Out of all the rides that are coming to the parks in a few years, which ones are you the most excited to experience? What about you, Jenna?
Which say it
Which
again?
rides out of the ones that are coming in the next few years that we discussed? Which one are you most excited about?
Good question. I think I'm probably most excited for the Millennium. I can't say it. Falcon. Can't talk.
Yeah.
I think I'm most excited for that one. I don't know. Just being able to like drive it yourself and it being different each time.
I think that's where I'm at. But I am excited to see what they do with the Battle Escape. It's just seeing some of Jack's videos about it. I'm getting really excited about that too. Jack, what's your number one?
My number one, Walt Disney World. It's going to be one of the Galaxy's Edge rides. I'm equally excited for both, to be honest. I'm very fond of the classic Disney dark ride, so Battle Escape is something which I'm very excited for. But Millennium Falcon, depending who I'm flying with, will depend, because if I'm flying with someone who doesn't know how to fly, I won't be very happy that I've waited 2 hours to just crash.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point.
Yeah, that would be a good point for sure. Awesome.
Yeah.
So
everybody's asking when you're coming over.
There's a variation of the same question. Either
sorry.
when are you coming? No, you're.
Oh, okay.
When are you coming to the USA, to Disney World, or would you ever move to the USA to be closer to the park? So those are kind of two similar questions. So what do you think?
Answer both of those. So first of all, I'm hoping to be coming over later this summer. I'm still looking at the dates at the moment when it's cheapest to go over. I'll probably be just outside of the UK holiday periods, because we're not taking kids, so I can afford to fly in term time, to make it a little bit cheaper. It'll probably be August, September time. I know it's kind of hurricane season, but hopefully it'll make it a lot cheaper for my travel and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Also, I'm British, so I don't really want the sweltering heat of July or early August Walt Disney World. I've had August in Disneyland, and that was pretty hot. So I've problem with that. Living out in America, it requires to move out to America. You've either got to have a permanent job already lined up in America, or so if Disney wanted to hire me, maybe then.
Yeah.
Putting it out there. Bob, I know you're watching, Bob. Okay. No.
Right.
And so if I got a job out in America, I could do that. Or essentially, you need an awful lot of money saved up to just pass the citizen, to warrant the immigration to permanently move to America. But I've also got the fact that all of my family live in the UK.
Right.
And whether I'd want to leave them all behind, it might be a different matter when I've got a girlfriend and stuff like that, and living there won't be just me by myself.
Right.
But I can't really see myself as a personality wanting to live by myself in a foreign country. Plus, I wouldn't be able to afford to do it anyway at the moment. So it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah.
But
so Disney, if you want to give Jack a job, he might consider it. Yeah, and I think it is hard. I mean, even my brother is living in Norway right now, and there's very strict immigration laws in a lot of places, and he had to go through a lot of hoops just to prove that he had that permanent employment and things like that. So I think it is hard.
Oh yeah.
For sure. Now Avery says, do you think they could bring $4.99? Thanks, Avery. Do you think they could bring the Stitch Enchanted Tiki Room at Tokyo Disneyland to the Magic Kingdom and reuse the Stitch animatronic if they close it?
I would personally like to see Disney just revert it back to classic Tiki Room.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
in many ways, you know, I mean, after they had that fire, like 5 or 6 years ago, and an awful lot of the elements were removed and stuff like that. But I don't really want to see any more IP added to Tiki Room unless it's in there. I don't really feel like Stitch is a brilliant theme to it. I know it's Hawaii and Tiki and things like that. But when I think of Hawaii, I don't necessarily think of a little alien.
Right.
So Stitch is better in Tomorrowland or something in Future World maybe, but maybe even a better fit in Disney's Hollywood Studios. A bit more cartoony like that. But in terms of the actual Tiki Room, I'd rather see a Moana influence in the Tiki Room because it's a better IP fit, basically.
Yeah, I think that actually is better, for sure. Oh, and Adam says, tell Jack I found the best time to be August, September, as per last year when I met up. Yeah, Adam visits from the UK with his daughter. So, yeah, I think that is a pretty good time frame, especially as you're getting closer to September when it does start to cool down a little bit more. So, Walt Disney says you are hired. Great Movie Ride was a signature attraction. It should have been deemed untouchable. But I think, Jack, I've heard you say that you actually are really excited about the Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway attraction. Or not as much.
You heard me say it.
Maybe
I don't
I've just
believe
seen
that's
you
true.
cover it.
I've covered it.
Give an opinion about it.
Personally, I'm not very. If I have to, I keep that kind of stuff out of the videos because,
That's true.
you know, I don't want to taint the news. For what I would consider exciting, other people may not.
Right.
So personally, I'm very excited for Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land, but I'm not going to say this is really great, this is not very great. Why talk about this?
Right.
I cover everything equally, and so I try and keep my own personal opinion. Unless it's really stupid, I don't comment on it in that kind of way.
Right.
So I just try and unbiased in a way, counter the news. And also realistic as well. If something's not realistic or it doesn't have a lot of credence, I don't cover it. So in terms of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, personally, I feel that they could have done something better. But well, the technology should be interesting. So I'm excited to see from a technology standpoint what they do.
Yeah, I am too.
I'm excited for Mickey and Minnie, like for a ride about them, but not the art they're using.
Personally, I just don't like the new Paul Rudd inspired. I think it's Paul Rudd, isn't it? Paul Ruddish, maybe Ruddish. The artist who designed the new Mickey and Minnie Mickey shorts, Mickey Mouse shorts. I still like the stylized version.
No.
It could just be my age. I'm 26, and
we feel the exact same way.
Yep.
I know a lot of people like them, and because it's cartoony. But to me, classic Mickey is like Mickey's Christmas Carol. That kind of that's classic Mickey to me. The shorts like that.
I'm really surprised they did it. Yeah, that way.
The new shorts to me, they kind of they make me feel a bit sick watching them. It's like Mickey does things which Mickey shouldn't do.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
Totally agree.
We've actually seen that, and I'm really surprised because they're trying to appeal to a wide audience with Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I'm surprised they didn't use the original Mickey that people are more familiar with, honestly, because it's such a small subset of the population.
I think that's going to be fairly jarring to younger kids, toddlers, they come to recognize Mickey as Clubhouse Mickey.
Yes.
The 3D version.
Yep.
So it's going to be different to that. And then, people my age and your age and everyone else, I think we're more used to, classic Mickey. So they'll be quite jarred by it as well.
Yeah.
And so it'll be interesting to see what the response is on that one. But personally, I would prefer them to pick classic Mickey. But
Everybody's gonna be like,
also, that Mickey Mouse doesn't look anything like the Mickey Mouse that you go and meet.
Yeah.
No, that's the other
so
thing.
true.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well,
so
honestly, even if they'd used the Clubhouse, the rendered version of Mickey, at least he looks like Mickey.
Yeah.
So to me,
and that's the reason why I think if they use the 2D classic version of Mickey, that looks enough like the 3D version for toddlers not to recognize it. But toddlers won't really pick up on that sort of stuff anyway. It's the older people like myself and you guys that will notice it and be like, oh, that was a bit, it's trippy.
Yeah.
What was that? Yeah.
That's not Mickey.
Or
I feel like I've just taken some.
Downs-
Okay.
Downscale says what we were talking about earlier. He's one of our longtime viewers. He says, I'd rather see more original park attractions instead of having always to incorporate movie IP. We agree, Downscale, definitely, absolutely. So, and
I feel like Mickey he should have an attraction. I just don't feel necessarily that type of Mickey is the correct one. But
we absolutely agree.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, we've said that
all right.
a lot. So yeah. So anyway, we can go through a few, and we probably should wrap up here pretty soon.
Yeah. It's
yeah.
It's 1 a.m. in the morning my time.
We probably should finish it. We probably should finish it up.
Yes.
Guys, we appreciate everybody watching. And thank you so much. Yeah, it looks like Ren and Stimpy. I agree. So anyway, thank you so much everybody for watching. We may do this again sometime. I know it's late for Jack. We could probably do a different time frame though.
We could
so
do
we can
earlier.
talk about that. Yeah. So, but make sure you subscribe to both channels, and definitely make sure you check out videos from both channels because there's a lot of great information both ways. And we want to thank Jack personally for coming on. It's been awesome. There we go.
That's absolutely fine. I've enjoyed the chat. I've enjoyed seeing all the comments. It's fantastic discussion there, and shall I do the sign off or?
Well, and that's the thing. I think you want to do the sign off. You want to do yours, and then we can do ours, or how do you want to do that?
Yeah, he can do
that's
his, and
cool.
then we can do ours.
Let's
Perfect.
do that.
I'll do mine. I'll do it. I've been Jack. You've been you, and I'll see you real soon.
All right, and so for now, have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
See ya.